A black general, his uniform gleaming with hard-earned stars, was cuffed and slammed against a patrol car in a sleepy Virginia town. Branded a fraud by cops too blind to see the truth, until one phone call to the Pentagon turned their world upside down. Lieutenant General Jeremiah Cole, 52, a titan of the U.S. Army, only wanted a quick bite in Greystone, a nowhere stop off I-95 before a high-stakes briefing at Fort Bragg. Silver-haired, chest-heavy with medals from wars most only read about, he was a living legend. But that night, in a diner parking lot under flickering lights, 2 officers saw a black man in uniform and decided he was a lie. Their mistake sparked a firestorm, and the lesson they learned would echo far beyond that dusty town. It started with hunger, not trouble. Jeremiah pulled his rental sedan into Ruby's diner. Neon sign buzzing, promising hot food, and a moment's peace. After 6 hours on the road, he stepped out, dress blues crisp, 3 stars on his shoulders catching the moonlight. Inside, the bell jingled. Truckers glanced up. A family paused mid-bite. A waitress smiled. He slid into a booth, ordered a cheeseburger, and checked his phone. Emails from the Pentagon. A text from his wife. Paunchy and bitter, squinted at Jeremiah Carr. "Fancy ride for this dump?" he muttered. Hull. Young and cocky. Nodded. Military plates. But that guy looks like he's playing soldier. They didn't check the tags, didn't call it in, just watched, itching for a fight. That's when it began. A spark. Ready to ignite. Jeremiah ate slowly, savoring the greasy comfort, oblivious to the storm brewing outside. The diner hummed with low chatter. Forks clinked ked. A jukebox played some forgotten country tune. Jenny, the waitress, refilled his coffee, her blonde ponytail bobbing as she chatted about the chilly night. "You stationed nearby?" she asked, curious but kind. "Just passing through," Jeremiah replied. His smile, easy, practiced. "Got a meeting down south." She nodded, liking his quiet confidence, the way he didn't demand attention despite the ribbons on his chest. He left a generous tip, stood, adjusted his tie, and headed for the door, his boots clicking softly on the checkered floor. The night air hit him sharp and cold, his breath a faint cloud under the sodium glow. He reached for his keys, steps measured, mind already on the road ahead. Then a voice sliced through the dark, raw and hostile. "Hey, you freeze." Jeremiah stopped, hand pausing mid-motion, instincts kicking in, not fear, but the hyper-alertness of a man who'd faced ambushes in Fallujah. He turned slowly, meeting the glare of Officer Connolly, whose flashlight beamed at his eyes. "Evening, officers," Jeremiah said, voice steady, hands visible. Connolly stepped closer, his bulk casting a shadow, the stink of stale cigarettes clinging to him. "That's a hell of a costume," he sneered, the beam lingering on Jeremiah's stars, his medals as if they were props from a thrift store. "Mind telling me where you got it?" Jeremiah's jaw tightened, but his tone stayed even, honed by decades of diffusing egos, not a costume. "I'm Lieutenant General Jeremiah Cole, U.S. Army." Draper circled, smirking, his buzz-cut head catching the light. "General, huh? Big shot. Got ID for that fairy tale?" Jeremiah nodded deliberate, his hand inching toward his pocket. "Left side, my wallet." Connolly's hand twitched toward his holster, eyes narrowing. "Slow, real slow," Jeremiah complied, pulling the wallet with 2 fingers, holding it out. Holt snatched it, flipped it open, scanned the military ID. Name, rank, photo, all legit, but tossed it to Connolly with a shrug. "Could be fake," Connolly said, his voice dripping with contempt. "You don't look like any general I know." The words landed like a punch, heavy with meaning. Jeremiah locked eyes with Connolly, unblinking. "And how many black generals have you met, officer? Or is it just that I don't match the poster in your head?" The air crackled, tense as a drawn bowering. A couple lingered near the diner door, Phones out. Filming. Jenny stepped outside, arms crossed, her face tight with unease. More eyes gathered. Gas station workers, late-night stragglers drawn by the rising heat. Connolly's face reamed, not shame, but rage, his ego bruised by the calm defiance. "Don't play smart with me," he growled, stepping so close Jeremiah could see the sweat beading on his brow. "We're verifying this, and if you're lying, you're done." Jeremiah didn't flinch. "Call Fort Bragg. Ask for Colonel Marla Griggs. She'll tell you who I am." Holt laughed, sharp and mocking, circling tighter. "Oh, we're not calling your pal for story time. Hands on the car now." Jeremiah stood firm, his voice low but unyielding. "I'm not resisting, but I won't comply with unlawful orders. You've got no grounds to detain me." That was the trigger. Connolly lunged, grabbing Jeremiah's arm, twisting it hard, and slammed him chest first onto the sedan's hood. The metal was cold, biting through his uniform. "You want to play tough?" Connolly hissed, his breath hot against Jeremiah's ear. Cuffs snapped shut, steel digging into his wrists, pain flaring but not breaking him. "You're under arrest, impersonating an officer, resisting." "Bet you didn't see that coming." General Hull yanked open the cruiser door, grinning like he'd won a prize. Jeremiah didn't struggle, didn't shout. Years in war zones taught him noise only feeds the chaos, says. But as Connolly shoved him toward the car, he turned his head, voice cutting through the night. "My phone's in my right pocket. Call the number labeled Pentagon. Do it now, or you'll wish you had." Connolly scoffed, pushing harder. "Save your bluff for the judge." The crowd swelled, phones flashing, murmurs growing. Jenny stepped forward, voice shaking but firm. "Brett, stop it. He didn't do anything." Connolly spun, jabbing a finger. "Back off, Jenny, or you're next." She froze, but didn't retreat, her eyes meeting Jeremiah, a silent promise she wouldn't let this go. As the cruiser door slammed, caging him in the stale, leather-scented dark, Jeremiah saw the faces outside, shock, anger, fear, and knew this wasn't just about him anymore. The Greystone police station was a squat, grim box of a building, reeking of bleach and despair. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting sickly shadows. Jeremiah sat in a holding room, wrists still cuffed, chained to a scarred metal table. His uniform, pristine hours ago, was creased, a smudge of dirt on the sleeve. But his posture screamed authority, back straight, eyes forward, unbowed. Connolly and Hull lounged by the door, sipping burnt coffee, their bravado louder now, feeding off the walls. "Bet he's got a record a mile long," Hull said, scrolling a tablet, his grin all teeth. "Nobody pulls off a scam this bold without practice." Connolly chuckled, leaning back, boots scuffing the floor. "Saw a guy once. Bought a whole colonel's kit online. Thought he'd get free drinks at the VFW. This one's the same, just fancier." Their laughter grated, but Jeremiah didn't react. His eyes tracked the clock. 11:47 p.m. Each tick a reminder to stay sharp. Stay patient. He had been here before, not in cuffs, but in moments where he had to prove his worth. At 23, a base guard joked he looked like a recruit playing officer. At 38, a Pentagon staffer double-checked his clearance like he'd snuck in. Each time he let truth cut deeper than anger. Tonight would be no different. The door creaked open, hinges screaming neglect. Chief Howard McMillan shuffled in, gray mustache drooping, eyes bloodshot from too many late shifts. He held Jeremiah's wallet, thumbing the ID with a frown. "This says you're a 3-star general," he said, voice growly, skeptical. "That true? Or are we wasting everybody's time?" Jeremiah met his gaze unflinching. "Lieutenant General Jeremiah Cole, Joint Special Operations Command. It's true, and your officers would have known that if they'd done their job instead of playing vigilante." McMillan's brow furrowed, glancing at Connolly, who shrugged unfazed. "He was mouthy, Chief. Didn't cooperate. Something's off." Nobody drives a rental looking like that. Jeremiah leaned forward, cuffs clinking, his voice a blade. Not cooperating? I offered my ID, suggested a call to verify, stayed calm, while your men insulted me and cuffed me like a thief. The only thing off here is their judgment, and it's costing you more every second you let this drag on. McMillan shifted, uneasy, caught between his men and the weight of Jeremiah's words. He rubbed his neck, studying the ID again, then sighed. Fine, one call. But if this is a stunt, you're not walking out tonight. He slid a battered desk phone across its coiled cord, a tangled mess. Jeremiah didn't move yet, his eyes flicking to Connolly, then Draper, their smirks fading under his stare. Put it on speaker, he said, voice cold as iron. You'll all want to hear this. He dialed each beep deliberate, a countdown to reckoning. The line clicked, a crisp voice, answering. Office of the Deputy Secretary. Jeremiah spoke clear, commanding. This is General Tate. I need Secretary Hargrove. Priority 1. A pause, then urgency. Yes, sir. Connecting. Connolly snorted, but it died in his throat as the speaker crackled, and Elaine Hargrove's voice, sharp, unyielding, pure authority, filled the room like a thunderclap. Jeremiah, where the hell are you? Oh, and what's going on? No pleasantries, just steel, Jeremiah answered, calm but precise. Every word, a nail in a coffin. Greystone, Virginia, local PD, arrested for impersonation and resisting, cuffed, detained, no due process. I need this resolved, Mom. Now. Silence, brief but heavy. Then Harrove unleashed, her voice a controlled explosion. Chief, who am I speaking to? McMillan swallowed hard, sweat glistening. Howard McMillan. Ma'am. Harrove didn't pause. Listen close, McMillan. You've got a decorated general in your custody. A man whose brief presidents led missions you'll never read about. Saved lives you can't count. You arrested him. Because he's black. Because your officers can't read an ID. Release him this second, or I'm sending MPs from Bragg, and your governor's getting a call by midnight. Am I crystal clear? The room froze. McMillan's mouth opened. No sound. Connolly stared at the floor, coffee cup trembling in his grip. Hull backed against the wall, eyes wide like a kid caught breaking something priceless. McMillan nodded, frantic, waving at Hull. Get those cuffs off. Hull fumbled, keys clattering to the floor, cursing under his breath as he freed Jeremiah. The cuffs fell, clanging against the table. Jeremiah stood slow, deliberate, rubbing his wrists, his gaze sweeping the room. Connolly, Holan, all shrinking under it. McMillan stammered, handing back the wallet. General, we're sorry. This was a mistake, a bad one. Jeremiah took the wallet, his voice low. Lethal. A mistake is forgetting a name. This was a choice. You chose to ignore my ID, my rank, my truth, because I didn't fit your picture of power. That's not a mistake, Chief. That's a failure, and it's on you. Jeremiah walked out, the station's heavy door thudding shut behind him. The night was still, stars sharp, but his chest burned, not with rage, but with the weight of repetition. He climbed into his car, the engines hum a small comfort, and drove south, mind replaying every moment. Connolly's sneer, Holt's laugh, Jenny's courage. His phone buzzed. Warren, Sheila, old squad mates. But he let it wait. He wasn't ready to talk. Not yet. By dawn, Greystone was ablaze. The parking lot clip, Connolly's rough hands, Holt's taunts, Jeremiah calm defiance, spread like wildfire across X, TikTok, Instagram. Hashtags General Tate, and Justice for Jeremiah climbing millions of views. Ruby's diner overflowed, not with diners but with locals, reporters, strangers drawn to the story. Jenny stood behind the counter, fierce, recounting it to anyone who'd listen. "I told Brett he was wrong," she said, eyes blazing. "That man was a gentleman, a soldier, and they treated him like dirt because of his skin." The story hit CNN by noon, mass NBC by night. Even conservative outlets picking it up, spinning their own angles, but unable to bury the core. A black general, a war hero, humiliated for existing. Greystone streets buzzed with tension. Protests outside the station, signs reading, "See us, don't cuff us," countered by a few stubborn locals muttering about law and order. Connolly stayed home, blinds drawn. Holt's old post surfaced, rants about thugs and entitlements fueling the outrage. The Pentagon didn't blink. Hargrove called Virginia's AG, demanding a full audit of Greystone PD. The DoD's Inspector General launched a probe into police encounters with black service members, reports stacking up from bases nationwide. Jeremiah didn't ask for the spotlight. He never did. But he didn't shy from it either. Sometimes he told a young major once, "You don't fight for yourself, you fight for the next one coming up." Connolly and Holt's world crumbled, suspended within days. Their records were dissected. Complaints of profiling, excessive force ignored for years. The body cam leak was the final blow. Connolly's voice venomous, calling Jeremiah a wannabe in a costume. Holt's laugh, but chilling in its glee. Protests grew, spilling into Richmond, D.C. People chanting Jeremiah's name, holding his photo. Dress blues, stern gaze, a symbol bigger than one night. Jeremiah reached Fort Bragg, greeted by Colonel Warren. Fierce hug. "You good, sir?" she asked, searching his face. He nodded, half smiled. "Takes more than a bad cop to break me." The briefing went smoothly, drone specs, funding battles, but the room felt different, eyes lingering on him, respect tinged with awe. Afterward, a young black lieutenant approached, voice low. "How do you keep going, sir?" After that, Jeremiah paused, seeing himself at that age, raw, determined. "You don't just go on," he said. "You carve your place, make them see you, not their fears. Every step's a lesson for you, for them." Greystone couldn't hide. Chief McMillan called a town hall, the high school gym packed, air thick with anger and hope. Jenny live-streamed, her phone steady now, capturing McMillan's faltering voice. "We failed General Tate. Failed this town. I'm stepping down. New leadership's coming. Boos mixed with cheers. Questions flying. What am I? Who pays for this?" A Pastor Rose voice steady, cutting through. "This isn't about one man quitting. It's about seeing each other. Soldier, neighbor, human. If we don't start now, we never will." Jeremiah heard about it later from Jenny, who called weeks after, her voice bright with pride. "They're retraining every cop, sir. Connolly's gone. Holt's stuck pushing papers. People here, they're talking. Really talking." Jeremiah smiled, picturing her at Ruby's, still pouring coffee, still fighting. "You did good, Jenny. More than you know." He didn't return to Greystone. Didn't need to. The story wasn't his alone anymore. It belonged to every soul who had been misjudged, dismissed, dehumanized. At Bragg, he mentored a black captain, her eyes fierce but nervous. "They'll test mount me," she said. Jeremiah nodded. "Let them. You're not just passing through. You're building the road. Stand tall. They'll learn." Months passed, but Greystone's scars pulsed. Connolly faded into obscurity, shunned even by old buddies. Hole left town, his name poison. A new chief, a woman from Philly with a no-nonsense rep, rewrote the PD's playbook: bias training, accountability, community boards. Schools taught kids about men like Jeremiah. Churches held talks on healing. He didn't track every change, but he felt them. Ripples from one night spreading wide. One evening, Sheila showed him a viral post. Him at Ruby's, smiling, captioned, Heroes don't bend. He shook his head, but she held his hand tight. They see you, Jeremiah. Let them. He thought of his father, a Vietnam vet, who'd faced spit and slurs, yet told him, "Hold your fire, son. It burns brighter that way." Jeremiah had always wood. The cuffs, the sneers, the cold hood. They lingered. Scars, not wounds. But so did Jenny's voice, Hargrove's fury, Sheila's grip, and a million strangers who saw him, really saw him. Greystone was one battle in a long war. But he'd won it, not with fists, but with truth. So here's the deal. If you've ever been sized up, pushed down, told you don't belong, know this. You do. Walk like the ground's yours. Live like your light's untouchable. If this story hit you hard, made you mad or proud, share it, comment, hit subscribe. Let's keep telling truths about the unbreakable, the unseen, the ones who teach the world to open its dam.